Welcome to Late Night Riders. This is a really special episode because we interviewed two different people. The first person is Baker O'Brien, a local jewelry maker in Northwest Ohio.
She makes horse-proof jewelry to wear while you're riding. It's a really smart idea and it's very unique. She also talks about horse archery.
Lastly, we talked to the barn manager of RAMM, Jolene. She talked about how to have a career in barn management and also how 4-H has helped her family. So enjoy! Welcome to Late Night Riders. I'm Gretchen, and I'm joined by my mom, Kristen, my grandma, Debbie, and Baker O'Brien.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. So your jewelry is horse-proof. Can you explain, the benefit of what you do as opposed to other?
Well, since I'm a self-described jewelry abuser, so that my hands are always. I don't take my jewelry off for to do gardening or to do to do the barn or clean stalls. I don't do any of that. But I do believe that it needs to be substantial enough to withstand all kinds of abuse. So I bezel set everything or channel set. If it's going to be small stones, I want a channel set. And use stones that will hold up to the rigors of it's got to be either be sapphire, diamonds, or rubies. I mean, those are the three stones. But I had somebody that they're not horsey people, but he wanted to use a tourmaline in an engagement ring, and I was horrified because I knew it would look horrible in 6 months. So I said, but let me see if I can find you a green sapphire. The color of a tourmaline, and it was beautiful. I've never had to take a video of a stone before. I had to take a video of a loose stone.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, it was a 2.5 carat.
Wow.
I've got a picture of it on my phone.
Must be beautiful.
It was fabulous. We put it in 14 or 18 karat gold, so it was like real gold, and so that's, I mean, to be horsey proof just means it's got to be substantial enough to withstand all kinds of abuse.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing that I think is quite unique that I saw from one of your customers too, about the band. Can you tell us about that too, from the horse side perspective? She said that band has always helped her with the band in the back.
I see what you mean.
Yep. She said it never gets in the way.
It's flat on the back, so it doesn't twist. It's just a no
her
twist.
reins, everything. She said it's perfect.
Yes.
Everything fits into her hand. She said it's smooth. It doesn't do the twisting, and to me, that's a big horse-proof part of jewelry that you do.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't twist around on your finger, and it's thicker. There's a thickness to it.
Very comfortable.
Yes.
I've got a client right now that that came up with it. We got 2 of our horses from. She's a horsey person, and she was wearing her grandmother's white gold band with several stones in it, and they are prong set, but she needed the shank is really thin. So what I'm going to do to that is cut the top off, and I'm going to build a wax around it, and I'm going to bring just enough ridge over the sides that it'll protect those prongs.
How nice is that?
Okay.
Wow. Do you have quite a few people that come to you and say, I do want to make this horse proof now that I know? I mean, I would think. I think it's a very.
I do a lot of remounts, but I mean, word of mouth is big for me.
Nice.
I mean, people will see like Amanda's ring.
Yes, it's
people
beautiful.
see Amanda's ring, and
Definitely.
So you've done jewelry for some famous people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Who famous?
Was it Madeleine Albright?
Oh, I did. That's right. I did a brooch for Madeleine. Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I guess it could be horsey proof, but who wears brooches when they ride?
Right.
But it was a glass heart with silver wings, and then the wings were tipped in 18 karat gold. So.
Wow.
And I know she still has it because every couple of years I get a call from her insurance company wanting to know what the new value is. So.
And how long have you done the jewelry for then? I know you said it seems like it's been some time.
Oh, like 40 years.
And
well, when did it start becoming horsey proof though? Was that right away?
Well, I think I was really deeply influenced in the in the 80s, I did some work for archaeologists, and I spent an entire fall in Greece and then Turkey. And the archaeologist that I was working for was Gladys Weinberg, who had been, I mean, she got her PhD in archaeology from Johns Hopkins, like in the 30s, which was pretty unheard of. And she's published a ton. I mean, she was one of the top 3 archaeologists in ancient glass at the time. So, and now they're all gone. So I don't know who's top anymore. But we would go through these museums, and she would point at things in cases and say, "I dug that, and I dug that, and I dug that." And the jewelry, the jewelry really made an impression on me because it was so substantial, you know, and so substantial. So I've always made things that are pretty horsey proof. I mean, if somebody wants something, you know, with prongs, I'll do it. But boy, those prongs are going to be big. I can show you examples of that too. So no, I mean, I want to make things that are going to last, and things that are going to be passed down, and things that aren't going to go out of style. So I tend to make really classical designs.
And your horses too. What are you doing now with your
I
horses?
have
too?
horses.
Let's talk about that. Yes, you do. That's an important part of this too. Yes.
I had a rescue thoroughbred at OTTB that exploded one day, and I hit the fence and cracked 3 ribs and partially collapsed my right lung. This is when we were at a boarding facility, and my motto became, "I'm too young to die, and I'm too old to get hurt." And so not long after that, we went down to the Camargo hunt. And all the 70-year-old women that are riding over hill and dale are all riding draft crosses because they're calm in mind, but they're athletic enough to power over the jump. So I'm like, I think that's a good breed for me. So that's what we have 3 thoroughbred Percheron crosses, and then we were doing. They are nice. They're very nice.
Their temperament is pretty.
Like
very
the draft,
beautiful.
So to speak, just so kind.
But Parker loves to jump. I mean, Parker's he'll be 12, 13, things like that.
Nice.
But he, I mean, you just point him at anything, and he'll just go. I mean, he doesn't even,
Pretty tried and true.
Oh yeah, no, he's awesome. So.
Nice.
It's hard. Dressage is harder for him because he's a little butt high, so it's hard for him to rock back. But we had a world-class clinician coming for clinics, and his name is Paul Balasic. He's written like 13 books. He's got a new one coming out I'm excited to read called Dressage for No Country, which is sort of like it's not like he's lecturing or teaching. It's like sort of his experience with going to the to the riding school in Vienna, and So I mean I read an excerpt, so I'm like, okay, this is really good. This is going to be fun. So he would come for clinics, and he was trying to. He was selling this horse to me for months, and so we just had to arrive at the right price. And he is an Andalusian Oldenburg cross, and he is very uphill. And then, even though vaccinated, it can happen that they can get Potomac fever. So he got Potomac fever a year and a half ago, and then was on stall rest for a year. But I bless my heart, the heart of my vet. My vet saved him, who is also a certified master farrier. His name's Adam Pendleton, and he's out of Marblehead. So I mean, I give Adam all the credit.
And you're riding your horse. You said
I just rode him. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's with he can be ridden now, but I sent him to Nicole because Nicole's really good.
Nice.
She was on your show too.
She is.
Episode 5, if you're interested.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
I haven't listened to it yet, but I want to. But I just came from there, so.
I have a question for you. It says, have you been riding since you were 5?
Yes.
And what these passionate horse people, I always want to know. Like, I was brought up into my mom's passion, so it has become
my mom not.
Yeah.
Nada.
So when we would take care of the horses and feed the horses, it was when we were younger. It was my mom's passion. Then we started riding. We loved it, but it wasn't like in us. I don't think. I mean, we're more of like my dad's side came from the city, so we were more like city kids.
You were born into it.
We were born into it, and so I love to hear about what your passion was and how did you get your first horse?
Well,
how did you
when my
get
mom,
your parents to...
well, no, I didn't own my own horse until I was 34.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, my mother was a single mom, and she was dating a guy who was a polo player. And so, we'd go out to the polo fields on Sunday, and I was probably 3. and he was cooling his horse out, and he said, "Do you want up?" And I was just like, "Yeah." So he put me on this horse, and like the skies opened, and the sun shone, and the angels sang, and it was like I knew I wanted to be there. So I never, as a little kid, I never played with dolls. I always played with toy horses. And then when I was 5, there was a man, and what he did was he ponied us. He ponied all the kids. So so he'd had, but it was full size, horse. Well, polo ponies aren't real big, but but it was full size horses, not ponies. But he ponied us, and I remember I would spend the whole ride trying to talk him into turning me loose. I'd be like, "Come on, Jimmy, I got this. Come on, let me go." I was just like I was never afraid, and I think when you learn to ride as a kid and you fall off 1,000 times, it's like the fear. You don't have that fear.
Not at all. No, you don't. I think as time has gone on, to be perfectly honest with you, there have been things that I have run into, though, that has put a bit of, that in me at times. Like, I don't want to say just fear, but
that's why he's at Nicole's.
It. Right. I respect it much more because when I was younger, I just, up until a certain point, just didn't even, as maybe with you, no fear whatsoever. But then, you do start to respect. I rode Western, then I rode English, and so, went from there. But and jumping, the whole thing. So, but I think that, as time goes on, some of those things happen, but doesn't mean, like you said, those people that are riding, that you saw riding the horses that, at the hunt, whether it's older people or whatever, I mean, there is a way to be able to do it. You just have to find the right horse or the horse that works for you and, keep on going. I mean, you can ride for a long time. One of our friends that was up at Waterloo years ago, little Glenna, she was like in her 80s and riding. We had people that rode. I mean, it was very, very, it was wonderful. They were good inspirations.
Well, they didn't just start. I mean, that's what I say about the ladies, that are riding at the Carmargo Hunt. They didn't just, being 70, they didn't just start riding. They just haven't stopped. So when I was, when I was 34 and married, and my husband loved horses and became, he became quite the aficionado of horseback archery. Which is where you ride the horse, in a straight line at a canter and shoot target, and then the departing shot from behind. Well, it's actually, it's. I thought it was really boring.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
It takes a lot of skill.
Well, it takes a certain amount of skill. I mean, it takes a certain amount of skill. But when I look at his seat, I mean, he has no seat. I mean, he's.
So now I'm kind of going off, but the horses that you use for that, are they fairly good at, like, just? I mean,
they usually are they. They put them in a channel. So sometimes it's a channel that's low. Sometimes it's a channel with like light fencing on the side, so that they can't
so that the horse
exit.
can. I've always wondered how people
they
do
just
that.
get trained to go straight.
That's what I wondered.
I mean, and not freak out with the bow sounds.
Right.
I mean, you got to sort of desensitize them to the bow sounds. But
So you're not trying to make your legs like at the same time as you're trying to, shoot the arrow. I mean, you're not trying to guide them. They're just going straight.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And they're aiming.
Okay.
Oh no, there was one kid that thought he was going to jump and shoot, and I'm like, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's a big one. Well, oh my goodness.
So yeah, I mean, and the it was interesting people though. I mean, jousters and stuff that want to do that.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. That's something I hope our listeners like that too, because I did not know. So
Yeah.
Well, and then I took a hiatus of gaited horses.
Oh.
So I had a Peruvian Paso. So have you ever ridden a gaited horse?
I gaited horse, Tennessee Walker, but not like a Paso. So
I mean, we call it the gaited giggle. I mean, people that ride and get on a gaited horse and they're just like, when they start trotting, because it's like, you can't post. I mean, it's just like, you're just cruising.
It is funny. It's a funny feeling. It really is, because you're just wiggling. That's all. You're just, so yeah.
So I had a Tennessee Walker too, actually. I gave him to Liz Anderson because he was rescue. And and I had a Peruvian and then a Pasofino.
So what do you do? I know you do dressage. You do jumping, obviously. And so what is your favorite thing? All of it? Or what do you like all of it?
I like all of it. I don't want to stop jumping, But I mean, and Encanto, when he was still on stall rest, that's who's with Nicole.
Yeah.
When Encanto was still on stall rest, but he could go in the arena. So we built this little round pen in the corner, and so I dropped a couple rails so that the whole arena could be used with the other horses. And he was inside, and he rocked back like a cat and sprang over the rail. Okay. Oh yeah, I've got. I don't have a picture of him jumping, but I've got a picture of the setup. And the kid in me was like, I got a jumper. But the adult in me was like, oh crap, that was like 8 months at rehab. He just screwed up. I'm screwed.
And I take it so your love is for the hunter jumper type of horse. I'm just saying, even in your cross horses and things like that, rather than like your the gated horses or whatever.
No,
is that,
no more gated horses.
Yeah, you want it.
No,
Yeah.
I like,
Yep, that's what I wondered.
No, I actually, it took me a long time to understand what contact and how to round the horse. And our first dressage teacher was Gail Burquin out of Lima, and she's awesome. And she trained in Poland, and if she put us on a lunge line, took away stirrups and took away reins. And so you learn, but you don't have to think about it because you're on a lunge line.
Yeah.
And Parker's just like. He's just like brain dead. I mean, he just goes. You know, he'll just trot. And then she'd make us tell her which leg's moving. You know, which what's coming under. So you learn to feel, which is actually really handy, because then when you're getting on a horse that's got like a lameness issue, it's like he feels he's off in the back.
Tell.
So that was really good. No stirrups, no reins, and get a seat. So that's that's the best way to learn. If I were going to teach a kid, that's what I'd do.
Yeah, and that's one thing we talk about frequently is hoping that more younger people get into horses. You know, that we can even encourage more younger people and young families to get into horses. So we hope that people that are listening to
build barns,
listen, and and or the lesson horses. You never know. I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, you look at people that do have their lesson horses, even as yourself. And here you are, an equestrian, and so accomplished in so many things, and so many of your talents with your glass and your jewelry.
It's a lifestyle choice, Debbie.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll enter our next segment.
Do you love horses and live the equestrian lifestyle? Be sure to check out our brand new blog at www.yourhorsefarm.com. We publish 3 posts per week and feature a free printable equine checklist every month. Yourhorsefarm.com is a great equine online resource, so be sure to share with all the horse lovers in your life. And remember, laugh much and ride often. This podcast is brought to you by RAMM Horse Fencing and Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. RAMM is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984.
Welcome to Late Night Riders. I'm Gretchen, and I'm joined by my mom, Kristen, my grandma, Debbie, and the barn manager for the RAMM Training Center, Jolene.
Hi. Hey, Jolene.
Hi, how are you?
So, Jolene, tell us when you started riding.
I was very young when I started riding. My parents had horses. My mother brought horses into our family, I guess. So they were there before me.
As you were riding, were you just riding English? Were you riding Western? Were you showing?
Not showing, so just pretty much anything that anybody had, I would jump on and go.
Good way to learn.
So when did you start working around the barn as like an actual career?
For this particular barn or just animals in general?
Animals in general.
I was probably 16, and we don't need to talk about my age now, just long enough.
And so then when did you start working for RAMM?
I started working for RAMM 8 years ago, almost 9.
That's what I thought.
It's a very long time.
Yeah. Dedication is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So what all goes into being a barn manager?
Obviously, you have to take care of the animals and make sure that all of the animals' needs are taken care of on a daily basis, as well as Debbie's, who particularly owns the horses in question at this point in time. If she has any concerns about horses, then she shares her concerns, and then I take it farther than that. And I watch every aspect of them. If she said they're not walking right, then I will make sure that their stomachs aren't sagging and that they're eating correctly and they're eating the right way. And I will also watch their fecal matter to make sure that it is of proper consistency.
Yeah.
It's not too sandy, it's not too grainy, it's everything's being digested adequately.
Right.
You also are so good. It's not just the animals too, but the good part is you keep a good eye on the grain, the hay, and the good part about that is that you let me know way ahead of time, so that as you probably know with me, you have to remind me a few times, and then
2 or 3.
So you're way ahead of the game, so that I can order things or whatever that we need, or you know how much to get because you're watching for the grain and that type of thing, which is a huge help.
On top of that, I also try to make sure the cost is down to the least that it can be. I do a lot of late night internet searches to find certain medications, the cheapest that I can find it, so that she's not going out of pocket any more than she has to.
Right.
I look at it as they're mine. I don't want to pay above and beyond insane amounts of money for the same med that I can get a lot cheaper. So I will do a lot of homework, if you will, and look up different things.
I'm just going to put a little notice in here too that she does work for us, and so she's very happy here.
I was gonna say you really go above and beyond for our family and for the horses.
You have.
My job is for her not to have to think about it, so she can come out and ride whenever she wants to, and she always knows what's going on. It's kind of like boarding your horse, but not. She has control over it, and she has every aspect of. If she doesn't like the weight of someone, she can make me go up or down. She can do whatever she wants, but she's not having to do the day-to-day thing. So she can run a business and run a family and do all the things that she does.
So how can you start to become a barn manager? Because you weren't originally the barn manager. You worked up into that position.
Yeah, it kind of fell into my lap. I was just looking for a job for a few hours a day periodically. My daughter was just coming out of a sickness at that time, so I didn't want to jump into a full-time job. I'm more of a person that if I commit myself to you, you're it. And I really couldn't fully commit to a big 9-to-5 kind of situation. So when I came on, it was just to kind of fill the void in my life, get me out of the house, get me something to do, and bring in a little money at the same time. So when I started with Debbie, it was just to do something.
Right.
My responsibility was literally to clean the stalls and feed them. I was not asked to brush, pick, take care of any of their health needs. And then as I started seeing things periodically and I would let her know things were happening, then she started pushing a little bit more responsibility on me along the way.
Yeah, that worked out great. But the other thing is that the thing that is so wonderful, and I think from a barn manager's or a farm manager's perspective, though, it's difficult. It is all the every day, all the way around the year job. We do have someone that does help out. We made it so that weekends, but that doesn't always happen, and then you always try to fill in and help. I mean, those are the things that I've appreciated so much and mean so much to someone. So if you're thinking of doing a job like this, there are a lot of things that come into it that you probably don't expect. You are very flexible with the animals. You'll do whatever it takes, and I think someone needs to understand that too. It's not just kind of this go in and do your job and walk away.
No, it's the consistency of it. You need to know that animal. You need to know how much waste they make a day and how their waste looks, and so you know if there's a problem. If you have too much, there's an issue. If you have not enough, there's an issue. If it's not the right consistency, what changed in their diet. These guys are very controlled here, so their diet is only what I give them. So if they start getting runny, then something didn't happen right. So something was off. Either their stomachs are off, or their stomach is off, or there's another outline situation. Someone's feeding them a little too much from the office that drive by. So you just have to take all that into consideration. You just have to watch them, because the end of the day, you don't want to call a vet in. You don't want to have to bring on any more expenses to the plane than you need.
Right.
It was so good that one morning even Jolene called me about Hootie, and Hootie wasn't walking around. He was sore. He was sore, and we thought right away, oh my goodness, I think it was when the weather was turning. It was wet, it was cold, it was snow, it was wet. and we got worried. So Jolene called and said, Hootie's not walking right. And I came out and looked, and sure enough, Hootie was not walking right. So we called the vet, and sure enough, Dr. Spees came along, and Dr. Spees looked at Hootie and felt his, around the cornet band, and felt for, heartbeat, like a beat or whatever. And no, Hootie was fine. He was just stiff. So, so we really
it was the car that you took to the automotive shop. Nothing was wrong with it. Yep. And you look like the idiot.
We thank Dr. Spees for coming by and saying hello. So it was very nice to see him that day. So, yep.
So what are some of the difficulties of the job?
The unknown. And it's like any other job. You come to work and the mule isn't working, or the cart wasn't plugged in the night before, or someone came and borrowed your apple fork, or brooms have walked away. It's the same as anything else. I mean, your equipment malfunctions one day, or a horse isn't right. It definitely takes some time to stop, look at them, watch them, figure out what's going on, make sure their teeth are good, make sure their feet are good.
Yeah. So from the perspective too, you mentioned the cart that gets plugged in. We have the
electric wheelbarrow.
Electric wheelbarrow. So, does that I know we didn't have one of those before. So I'm looking at it from a bar manager's perspective. Has that helped you? Have you liked it? Because we do carry it here. So.
Yes, it's a great tool. It's kind of weird at first because I'm used to the manual wheelbarrow that you have to lift and go. So when you turn it on and crank the gas, it just goes. Yeah. So it takes you a little while to kind of adjust to it, but it's not bad. It's really helpful and a lot less work for me.
Does it does the work for you?
Yeah.
And you can load it up pretty heavy and so forth. And has it helped with your the length of time maybe in some of the chores, or the ease of chores? I would suppose. I would think it's helped quite a bit.
It is. It makes things faster, a little slower at sometimes. I mean, I'm used to the mule for a little while where it drove me, so I didn't have to walk all the way to the mule. Right. But otherwise, I mean, it's very convenient just to spin right up next to something and throw it in there. Nice. And then up and down thing all day long. It's just easy and go.
Probably trying to take things and I would think streamline it, because you've done it for so long, and take your processes and try to figure out how to streamline is probably another consideration in what can you do so that you can get it done a little more efficiently, or whatever the case may be, I'm sure.
I always look for that so that when I'm not here, whoever's doing it for me has the easiest time. Yeah. We have the gate system all set up, so no horses ever outside of a gate system, so that's nice when you're not here to know that no one's going to get out, everything's secure. And you don't have to worry about it, especially being on airport highway, that you don't have to.
There's a busy highway right out front, a very busy 4-lane highway. So that's a big thing to be sure that it's secure.
And we turned on the electric up in the front pastures, and
the gate latches are the double. What do we call
the heavy duty gate latches that you can open from either direction. Yep, you just lift a little like kind of just a little metal piece, and you can pull the gate open one way. It actually has like a little shelf kind of where the hinge sits right on it, because your heavy metal gates can start to sag over time. And that little hinge that it sits on, or like little ledge that it sits on, helps to hold your gate straight across. And it just closes nicer, I think. It's easier, and you can open from either direction. And it's a heavy-duty gate latch. They've worked for a long time.
Yeah, they're great. I bought some for home.
Yeah, there you go.
How many horses do you have at home?
I don't have any horses. I have cows and sheep and pigs and dogs and cats, and ducks and rabbits. I have a 4-H family.
Fair, exactly. So your children are involved.
Yes, my children are very involved in every aspect of animal care, both at home and here. They come in periodically with me. They know all of these guys. They can actually get Little Miss Muffins a lot faster than I can, because they like her better.
She's little.
But, it's great. They all watch the same things I watch, and they've learned a lot along the way that helps them with their own animals at home.
And 4-H is so good for them, too. I know you do projects with them, Jolene. You started them early on with projects, so could you talk a little bit about that then?
What particular project?
Well, what did you start with? I know.
My son started with Safe Use of Guns, and also lambs was his first project. My oldest son, Patrick, is 17. He is always wished to have something in every department, and Lucas County is a small fair because we our Lucas County, and it's a lot of cities sections, so not a lot of country where you can have a lot of the big animals. So our animal section is pretty small at Lucas County Fair. So he is able to have something in every department this year, which was what his goal was.
Wow.
So we have
That's exciting.
a little bit of everything, and he'll be in every single show.
As he's grown through 4-H, what do you think that's offered to him then? I know we're just talking about one of your children, but what do you think that's offered, or the changes that you've seen with Patrick that he's learned? What do you think that's taught him? Because people would want to know, I think, for their families, you know, about 4-H.
With all of the kids, it's brought a lot of responsibility because they have to go out and take care of them, and they have to go out there and work with them and set them and brace them and do all the things that they would do in the show arena, as well as they have to wash them. It's kind of like having that dog, but you only have it for a few months. So it really puts a lot of work into a little bit of a section where then once they've learned that, then they can move on to the next thing and the next thing.
Patrick seems very disciplined to me. I mean, like, he knows what he does in 4-H, and then he knows at 4-H, whether it's an animal that, is a purchased animal or whatever, but he's very disciplined. And when I see him, even at the farm, he's quiet around the horses. He's not, waving his arms around. He knows how to act around the animals, and I think you've taught him a lot, and I'm sure 4-H has too. What about your other children then too?
My daughter had aculoblastic leukemia when she was younger, so she had a lot of sit down. She wasn't allowed to be around a lot of different things, including animals, for a while. So this was a good thing for her to get up and get out and get doing. She had a lot of problems picking up water buckets and stuff for a long time because she didn't have the muscle to do so. Now she can pick up a 5-gallon bucket and go.
Strength.
With
She gained strength.
no problem whatsoever. But she's not big on sports. Her vision's pretty bad from the side effects of everything. So this is her one thing that she can do and excel at pretty well.
She's very confident. She is very confident. I mean, she's just a little trooper too. So
that's a good word. We'll use that one.
She is.
And then I have an 8-year-old, and he does everything, and he always has. I think he was 2 when he started walking the donkeys here.
Yes, he did.
And he did really well. He kept loose reins, and he walked them with like a little champ, like he's always done it. But he was just a few months old when I started working here, so it was pretty easy for him just to kind of fall right into line. The funny ones are the bigger the horse, the more of a baby they are when it comes to children. So some of the bigger horses we have here that you would normally be scared to have a small child walk was nothing. Wasabi specifically, Lewis was bringing him in one day and Lewis fell down. Wasabi just stopped and waited.
Wasabi is our halflinger. Yep.
And then Lewis stood up, and then they moseyed on their little way.
So sweet.
He was just like waiting, like, "Are you ready, dude? Because I'm going to get dinner." Come on. It was pretty funny to watch, but they've all grown up together, I guess is the best way to say it. But he's first year doing 4-H this year, so he's pretty excited to actually have real animals. It's all to himself.
What is his first year project then, Jolene? Is he?
Sadly, he's taking on a lot. He's also doing safe use of guns. He's doing rabbits. He's doing ducks, and he's doing a pig and a lamb.
Whoa. Well, we'll start small. No.
He can handle it.
He's been doing it all of his life, so he's been out there with the other kids walking
Littlest
animals.
one sees what the bigger ones do.
He's been working the animals for years. He really wanted to jump into a cow, but I just couldn't do it. He's a little short. Like, let's just wait a little bit on that one. But
Well, the calmness that you bring to the barn for the horses, where when you put them out, they're not just taking off, stampeding out, or there is a difference, I believe, now with what do you do so that, like you say, Lewis can walk back and forth and Wasabi stops? Or
when we were here before and we had stalls inside of the barn, he would walk him in to the barn and put him in a stall at night, where now we don't really stall them at night. They're just kind of out with their shelters and stuff. Yes. So he doesn't really walk them anymore, but he's in charge of certain gates at certain times. He's allowed to open them and close them. And they're funny. They just all stop and look at him. And then they walk
yeah, they
on.
do. I mean, they're not pushing on the gates or anything. I mean, how do you teach the horses the manners? Because sometimes they just don't have them.
These guys have learned that I don't play. And if I say no and I say wait, then they have to wait. It's kind of like kids. They get it after a while.
Jolene's a leader out there. She's
Yeah.
the leader of the
Yeah.
pack, I think. She definitely just says, when she says no, too, she can say it with authority.
Grayson will kick the gate, and I'll say, no, now you'll have to wait. And you'll wait until I'm ready. And then he'll stand there and stomp the ground. Like, come on, no, already. He stomps the ground. I really don't make him wait. But when he's actually doing damage to a gate or anything else, then he's just going to have to wait. And I'll stand there and just look at him.
So patience with them and
Consistency and patience.
Go ahead,
So,
Bridget.
what would you tell someone that is like looking to get into this career?
The best way to do it is to find a barn that they're comfortable with and obviously get some knowledge of those particular animals and start slow and build your way up.
Would you tell them to start at a smaller facility or at a bigger facility? What do you think?
It all depends on what they want to do. If they want to run a multi-million-dollar barn, show barn, then jump in.
Yeah.
But you're going to be working with thousands of other people that are going to do different things throughout that particular barn. So if you want a solitude barn, kind of like mine, where I basically only deal with Debbie and, I mean, obviously all of you guys too, but it's primarily Debbie who's like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want.
Right.
Make this happen. Wasabi needs to lose weight. I hear that one a lot. Donkeys need to lose weight.
Right, exactly.
But for the most part, I am only dealing with her, and that's pretty much what I wanted. I didn't want the drama. I didn't want to deal with a whole bunch of cattiness and she said, he said, whatever. I just want to do my job, do it to the best of my abilities, and move on.
Right.
And I'll say this too. Jolene has always been really good with, if I say, hey, Jolene, guess what? Another horse is coming in. Oh, really? Who is it this time? Or, hey, Jolene, there might be some sheep here this fall. We don't know. We're not sure yet. Or some chickens. You know, she always takes that on, and she's like, okay, you know, just tell me what it is. So
Pretty
she's
much.
been really kind about that. And for that amount of time that you've been with us, you know, I will say this, that I'm very appreciative of what Jolene has done. She comes in no matter what the weather. I mean, if there's, I mean, the snow is terrible.
It was
she
like
is
negative
there.
17, and I saw her out there. There was like a cold advisory, and she was out there all bundled up, bringing
It
the
was.
horses
She
food.
took her glove off that one day that we had that was so cold, and she had on like gloves, like rubber gloves, and then she put her gloves over the top of it. She said, this is how I can keep my hands warm, and her eyelashes were just absolutely frozen. I mean, she had frozen eyelashes, you know, crystalled eyelashes, but she is always there, and it's such a big help to us, and we appreciate it so much, because those elements can be a difficult thing. Boy, I'll tell you, the cold is just tough for me now, and I really appreciate that. So I think also finding, you know, when you're looking for someone, being able to know that they have the ability and the tenaciousness to want to be there for the horses no matter what the weather, and then additionally that they do know how to care for those animals and look for the things that you want them to look for. So that's important when looking for someone. But I sure have appreciated the relationship that we've had, and you know, we've been through a lot of things. There have been new ones that have come in, and some that have passed away, and all sorts of things that we've gone through. And you know, it's been a long time, and it's a good relationship. So there is a relationship that you do have with your manager.
Yeah. We're very thankful to have you. We hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and encourage you to share with all your equestrian family and friends. You can tune into the Late Night Riders podcast show every Friday night. Each episode will be uploaded exclusively on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of our latest shows. Do you have a topic you'd like to discuss? We want to hear from you. You may email us at podcast@ramfence.com or feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you again for listening. Thank you, Jolene.